What's up guys? For the month of February, I've decided to make all of my videos on this channel romance or dating oriented since it is the month with the hallmark holiday of Valentine's Day. I just thought it would be nice to stick to that theme. So I'm going to start it off, it's a loud plane. I'm going to start it off with this video about a recent date I went on that I'm going to call a blindish date. Wasn't a full-on blind date because I had an idea of what this guy looked like from one photo that was a headshot from his WhatsApp profile. But we were introduced by friends. So I want to share this story. For context, I joined a beach club recently here in Miami to try to meet new people, like-minded people, and build like organic connections in a healthier environment than, you know, midnight or 2 a.m. at a dive bar. So I joined this beach club and I met this straight couple who were both really nice. And the straight guy in the couple in particular, I was like, this guy is so charming and so lovely. Like, I want to meet a guy like him. So I jokingly one day at an event was like, do you have any gay friends? And I was just saying it like jokingly. And he said, actually, I do have somebody that you could meet. He showed me his picture on WhatsApp. Again, just a headshot. Beautiful guy, beautiful man. We'll call him Roberto. Roberto is the gay guy. Gorgeous man, looks like a Mediterranean, like a Greek god kind of. So I'm like, whoa, yeah, I want to meet him, right? And the straight friend, male friend, reached out to him and said, hey, are you single? Are you open to meeting somebody? Roberto said yes. So the straight couple coordinated this double date. So we went out to get drinks, the four of us. And I will say, before leading up to the actual hangout, we were in like a group thread trying to coordinate this time to hang out. And Roberto, the gay guy, was like really polite and considerate, following up the day before, like, hey guys, are we still meeting at this time? Like, I look forward to it. So I was really excited to meet him. Like, A, he's really good looking. B, so far, he seems great just from the brief communication in the group thread. And also I was just thinking, like, this is how you're supposed to meet somebody, right? Like, I really like this straight couple. So if they want me to meet somebody, it must be, you know, what's that saying? Like, birds of a feather flock together, right? People tend to attract like-minded people. So if they're so great, I'm thinking if they know this gay guy who wants to meet somebody, then maybe he's also just as great. So we end up meeting for drinks. He walks in just as beautiful in person, and he sits down, and I instantly felt a frostiness, like an aloofness. And you know, sometimes your instincts are off, but generally I feel like within, at least in my case, within a few minutes of meeting somebody, you know, potentially in a romantic context, I kind of know whether there's something there or not, like a chemistry. And I just felt nothing. And my first instinct was, this guy has zero interest in me. Like, I just didn't feel a spark or even an interest in getting to know me. And throughout the conversation, the four of us, he just made very little eye contact, wasn't really inquisitive at all. Like, here and there, I would try to ask him things, and he would kind of like sometimes ask me the same question back, but never really proactively engage in trying to get to know me. If anything, I clicked the most with the straight guy, and I really like his girlfriend. They're both fantastic. But I'm like obsessed with this straight guy. Like, there's just, it's hard to explain, but sometimes you just click with people more, and there was more chemistry with him. I think some of it is cultural. He's French himself, I'm half French. So there's maybe some of that, but just the conversation was so easy with him and his girlfriend, but him in particular. And he's just so thoughtful and considerate and warm, very warm. And it's just funny because how often are you on a date with somebody where you have the exact like opposite mirror image of them right in front of you, right? So with the gay guy, I felt a distance and like a lack of a desire to connect. And then in your head, you're like, is it just me? Am I being over dramatic? But then I have this other image of another man right there who's exactly the kind of man I would want to attract. So it was a great sort of reminder in the moment of, okay, this is what you really want. You don't have to overthink this of like, why isn't there something here? Because you do know what it is that you want, and it's a guy more like, unfortunately, the straight guy, who's both straight and taken. The last time I had seen the straight guy, which was the night that he told me about Roberto, at one point in the night, he saw that I was really cold, and he offered me his jacket. right? Like that's the kind of guy I would want to attract. Now here we are, the four of us, and it gets chilly, and I have a thick jacket on, and I had a thick long sleeve shirt under as well, and he's in a t-shirt this time. So I sort of returned the favor and gave him my jacket, and he said, no. And I was like, no, please take it. Like, come on, like role reversal. You did this for me last time. And 10 minutes later, I start to get chilly. And I look at the gay guy, Roberto, and he's the best dressed out of all of us in terms of like being dressed for the weather. And he's also the biggest in terms of like body type out of all of us. Tallest, biggest frame. And in my head, I'm thinking like, you should be giving him your jacket. You're actually friends with him. I just recently met them. You've known them for a while. That's one of those things like you don't owe anybody your jacket, obviously. But that's the kind of guy I want to attract. A guy like me who thinks to give his jacket, or a guy like the straight guy who had given me his jacket the last time, and he's sitting here the warmest out of all of us because he's just got the most like meat on his bones, and he's got a huge jacket, and it didn't even cross his mind, I guess, to do the same thing. And when I came home from this double date, I thought about this more and more, and I realized there were other instances throughout the night where things like that happened. For example, we went to another bar after, and at one point he was like, I gotta drive home, so I should get some water. And I was like, do you want some water? I'll go get you some water. I went to the bar to order him a glass of water. And at the bar, I'm waiting. It took a while. And I'm just waiting there awkwardly, and he could see me from a distance. And in my mind, I go, I'm turned off. Like, I would want to attract a guy who's like, you know what? Let's both get waters. Let me come with you. But I felt like I was kind of like taking care of a grown man who's not even really showing that much interest or intrigue in me. Another example, at the end of the night, I was gonna take an Uber home. The three of them had driven there. And when I said I'm gonna call an Uber, the straight guy was like, no, one of us will drive you. And then he went, Roberto, do you wanna drive him? And Roberto was like, sure. I want to attract a guy like the straight guy who's gonna have the instinct to say, why don't I drive you home? What's funny is that at one point, Roberto went to the bathroom during the night, and the straight friend said, what do you think? Like, are you into him? And I said, he's obviously very good looking, he seems kind, polite, whatever, but there's something missing. Like, I just don't think he's into me. And what's funny is the straight guy said, actually, he told us when you were in the bathroom that he thinks you're fantastic, he thinks you're cool. But in my mind, I'm like, if he's interested, this is a weird way to show interest. Like, maybe he just has a different love language, he's just not as warm or affectionate. But again, it was really interesting to be on a double date and look at the dynamic between the straight couple and think, that's what I want. I want somebody who's warm and compassionate and who speaks that kind of language, rather than what I'm exposed to with this guy. And then when he did drive me home, we talked a bit more. He was a bit more engaging then, but it still just felt kind of forced and awkward. And in my head, I thought, if this is the way that this guy expresses himself or expresses interest, like, I'm just not interested. And I texted, when I came home, I texted the straight couple and I said, hey guys, thanks so much for setting this up. To be honest, I don't think it's a fit. There was no really chemistry, but thank you for setting this up. And I'm just glad that I got to hang out with you guys again. And it's funny, they felt the same way, but they were trying to be more optimistic. They were like, maybe he's just shy. We'll see what happens. But we agree that he didn't seem remotely engaged. And it's so interesting that they, I guess, were trying to be optimistic to say like, who knows, maybe he needs time to open up. But I'm at an age now where I'm like, like first impressions matter, and having that dynamic of seeing the kind of couple I would want to emulate, that's all I need to know. I'm not at a point in my life where I want to force something with somebody who's not showing me the affection I would want. And I'm lucky enough that I've been on dates where I feel that chemistry from the beginning. I mean, I've talked about the Argentinian guy I had a connection with last summer, and from that first date, there was just a warm thoughtfulness and consideration. And it's nice that when you experience that, you know what it feels like. And as you get older, you realize like what your non-negotiables are. and I couldn't be with somebody who's this reserved and this aloof. It's so interesting how you can be physically attracted to somebody, but then their personality or just your impression of them just turns you completely off. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned for more dating videos coming later this month.